Hey everybody, Vader Saber 1984, also known as that drunk guy and his bullshit opinion. I am christening in the new podcast laptop right now. So this is the first time, and I'll also have a side camera going over here as well. That way we can just kind of pick up the audio and see what works best. So trial by error, right guys? Okay. So today's topic is the Rampage Classic 8 down at the Prima Vista Center today. So, in ordinary fashion, grab yourself a smoke. Grab yourself a drink. Grab on your butts, your balls, your boobs, whatever it is you got. And if this isn't your bag of tea, I don't care. Because here we go. Still working on that one. I'll get it. Alright guys, so it was, as always, great to see all the guys at Rampage today. Really enjoyed seeing everybody. Got a couple changes that have happened, and we'll kind of go over the card. And in ordinary fashion, I'll start with the first match, I'll go to the second match, and I'll discuss your winners. There is one match that was kind of a not per se on the card. It kind of changed, so I'm gonna kind of have to wing it because there was a lot of people for that match. And then after that, I'll rate it. I'll give my 5-star rating, 5 being the best, 0 stars being the worst. Now, I get a little critical, and I turn into an asshole when I do this because, hey, you know, as a retired backyard wrestler, I was never on the independent circuit, so these are just my bullshit opinions, okay? They do not reflect any of the wrestlers, staff, or organization of Rampage Wrestling. This is just mine, so that way they don't sue me or any of their talent gets pissy about it. So let's go ahead. And I did not get to see the opening match, the Chimo match. I did not. I was general admission today, so I didn't get to see the extra match, but I heard from outside that Chimo lost, and I asked my nephew, I went with Tommy, and he told me that it was an okay match, but I didn't get to see it, so therefore I can't rate it. First match out of the opening, man, this, usually the first match, the curtain jerking match for general admission, is usually something just to kind of get everybody, you know, get feeling. I'm glad that they did this. They put the Rampage title on the line at the very first match. So I was like, what? Really? I mean, curtain jerkers are, yeah. And I had to worry that, I talked to Mac, the franchise, beforehand, and I was like, man, something didn't seem like he was feeling it. He was like, "No, I got a lot of stuff going on in my head," and so I was kind of worried that maybe he'd lose this match, but he pulled through. He faced Chasen D Cash. Chasen D Cash is somebody who I've never wrestled or watched wrestle before, so this is my first time watching him. Chasen D Cash was a heel, and he played it well. You know, he did his part. That's for damn sure. As far as the match overall, the crowd was really into it. So it was, I have to say, it was banging. So everybody was really excited about that. I think the only drawback is when you have a championship match curtain jerking, man, it's hard to follow it, you know. The match overall and the energy. Overall, I'm going to go ahead and have to give... I'll give it 4 stars out of that match, strictly because it just seemed like the Cash guy wasn't, he wasn't putting enough out there. He tried, but then again, I've never seen him before, so I don't know if he's better. But Mac retained his title. Good job, buddy. The next match that followed that one. Oh, and by the way, 8-Bit tried to run in and cash his Money in the Bank Rampage contract. He tried to do that, but Mac kicked him square in the face. It was great. Second match was Josh 8-Bit, or the Power Ranger wannabe that I make fun of all the time. It was him versus Crimson Lee. All right. Crimson Lee used to be Ready Player One, the one in the black. Now, this is not me hating on the match because I hate Joshua 8-Bit, Power Ranger wannabe. It's not just because I can't stand the fact that he is a terrible wrestler. It just was not a good match. To me, it was really, really slow, and it just didn't have, for somebody who's supposed to have the briefcase and cash it in prior to that, you figured this match would have a little bit more story to it. Of course, Ready Player 2, as now known as Crimson Lee, was part of the gaming clique, whatever, for years and years. And so there was a story there, but with the whole mask thing that he did, where he kind of got a little bit more of a spur of energy by putting it on, to me, I just don't think he's as well-rounded as it could have been. He usually gets the early matches. He doesn't get a lot of, time. He's been there forever, but don't get me wrong, he tried his best, and Josh 8-Bit cheated and got the win again. And Crimson Lee was sat down and, just stood there for a while. So the match overall, I'm going to have to give it a 2, quite frankly. It was very slow-paced. There were a lot of botches, a lot of misses, and it was just very slow. I get it, match 2, you don't want to outdo match 1. It's early in the card, I understand, but, there you go. Another thing, they had an actual singer do the national anthem this time, which was beautiful. The guy did a great job. I didn't get his name, but he did wonderful, so good job. Don't want to forget about giving that props. It's beautiful that they still do the national anthem every show. I love it. Moving on to the next match was Phil Noor, and he was defending his title, that would be the Rampage Heritage title, against none other than Morgan Mercy. Now, I've got a lot of issues with this match, okay? Morgan Mercy is getting better, okay? She's a good heel, and I'll bring her up later in the show as well, on the review, but that's to come. Morgan Mercy is getting better, but it was just like, all right, I'm sorry, Phil to me is just not that polished. Like, he's very sloppy, he doesn't connect, he's very slow, and granted, he's wrestling a female, so you don't see a lot of closed fist punches. There were a lot of short elbows, and then there were some chops, but overall, Phil Noor did win the match with a pin, and Morgan got up and busted him after the match, tried to shake his hand, and then she threw her finisher on him and walked out of the ring. This match, I'm going to have to give it a 3, only because Morgan carried it. There were a few botches in there, but hey, to me, she was doing all the selling, and she was doing all the moves, and anytime Phil would try to get any kind of offense, it just did not look good. So, sad to say that Phil is still not Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't get behind the guy. So yeah, give that match a 3. Following that, the one match I was really looking forward to was the Duos Championship match uh, with Rook and Axel Savage, who are the Mafia. And quite frankly, I like watching those guys work as a tag team. They're great, but they did an open challenge. And this open challenge was actually to anybody. And so one team came out. I'm going to have to pull it up and, kind of go back. And, oh, there were so many people that came out. Let's see. Chaos Inc. came out, so it was Son of Black and Eris. They were one of the teams. Let's see. Jack came out with. Oh Lord, I can't remember his name. This is why this is going to be hard for me on this one, because it's not something that was scheduled. But overall, it turned into a tornado tag with, let's see, five teams other than Rook and Axel, and it was a good match, man. There was some great action. I got a really good clip of one team going off the top turnbuckles and moonsaulting to the floor, and it was a pretty good bump. One went off the left, one went off the right, and overall it was, I was really impressed. It was a good match. I actually watched Axel get pinned, and I was like, what? So Rook ended up going into a 3-way. So there are 3 teams left, and the Duos champion, both members have to be pinned to be okay. So the last 3 main members that were out there, oh Lord, I feel terrible for forgetting his name, but he got out, and they pinned one of the other opponents. Rook did, and he got eliminated. So now it was just the 2 of them. Okay. Well, until Axel came back out, and he kind of hovered around the ring. Well, this guy said, "You know what? I forfeit. Y'all win. I give it up to you." And they're like, all right, man, guess what? We've been talking a long time about getting a 3rd member in the Mafia. And so they raise his hand, and they got the mic, and he goes, and guess what? It's not you. Who comes out, slides in the ring? Morgan Mercy. Axel and Morgan get him up on his shoulders. Rook comes off the top with a killer leg. Let's see if I can get it possibly on here. Comes out with a killer bump. Very nice. Let's see if I can get it on this camera a little better. That light is just terrible, but there it goes. Very sick bump. I actually really enjoyed that, because there were so many people out there, so many teams, that the action was everywhere, and it was non-stop. There weren't any dead spots. So I really enjoyed that one. Out of probably my favorite match of all for the night. So that one right there, that's going to get a 4.5 stars for that match. Great story, great action, great impact. All teams did really good. I didn't see anybody that was just lollygagging around, so it was really good. So hats off to Rook and Axel retaining their Duos championship. Good job, boys. Good job. Following that match, we actually went to intermission, but the next matchup was for the Rampage Classic. All right, the Rising Star Championship, held by Sonny Guapo. This match was going to be for the new title, and that was going to turn into the Hub City Championship. So they retired the Rising Star belt that day, or today. It was Sonny Guapo, it was Ryder Cage, Lucha Dad, who has now changed his name and gimmick since him and Sonny split up. Also with, oh Lord, what was that guy's name? Collins. So, match was going really well. They were selling the story really good. Everybody wanted a piece of Sonny, especially Lucha Dad, because they were a tag team. And then it broke off with Ryder Cage and Collins for a while. Overall, your new Hub City champion goes to Lucha Dad, and he won that title. I think it's the first title he's had since he lost the Duos tag champion. But Sonny didn't pull through on this one, unfortunately. Ryder got a pretty bad rough bump onto a chair. Whoever threw the chair down had it on the wrong side, so he caught it on the bottom with the edges, and right in the back. I was like, oh God, they forgot to throw it. So that one, man, I'm gonna say I was pretty impressed with it. Overall, I'm gonna have to give that match a 4. The only thing that I could really say is that there were a few missed opportunities in there, kind of stumbling and tripping on each other. But overall, Ryder Cage will be defending his title next week at Nightmare on 19th. So definitely look forward to that one. It's once a year when it goes hardcore and extreme rules. So really looking forward to that. But overall, Lucha Dad does take the title and win the match. Moving on now. So this is a match that I've been looking forward to because the storyline has been there forever. It's something that I was like, man, I didn't want it to be a casket match per se, or a coffin match as they called it. I really didn't want it. I wanted to see something more along the lines of maybe a cage, but overall, Alton Black got to choose the match, and so he picked a casket match or coffin match. Now, Jester came out first, and of course he came out with his posse, and immediately after Alton came out, they went to go attack him. And what did he do immediately? Alton put both Son of Black and Eris through tables right there by the entryway. So that was a pretty good start to it. And then, of course, they just ran into each other and just started going. Now, a lot of swings in this match. I gotta say that I was really looking forward to the story that they sold, and which they did. One of Alton's main finishing maneuvers has always been a choke slam because he's one of the tallest guys in the league. Well, Jester immediately started slamming his hand inside the coffin, damaging his hand, working the body part. Really enjoyed it. Brought out a chair. I think he went to the well a little too much on the chair. He also came out with a monitor. Apparently there's a storyline with the monitor. I don't remember, because when they kicked Alton out of Chaos Inc., he busted him up with a chair pretty good, blood everywhere. So I kind of get the story with the chair. After that, excuse me, they're battling back and forth, and Jester kind of gets the up and up and decides to go get a table. Now, this table is a 6 foot, not an 8 foot. And somebody who has worked with these tables knows that 6-footers are a lot harder to break. They're shorter, they're a lot more sturdy. And if you know wrestling, then most of the tables they're gimmicked a little bit. The railing underneath is pre-cut. Well, not this table. So Jester's climbing up top, and it looks like he's going to powerbomb Alton off the top. Well, doesn't get it going. They're fighting back. They're battling. And next thing you know, he's got the table set in the middle of the ring. Jester goes up there, climbs up, and attempts a, what was it? I believe it was a, Lord, what was it? Russian leg sweep off the top rope through the table. Well, that little table was a lot sturdier, a lot thicker because it was shorter. The table didn't break. The legs broke underneath because it actually jammed the leg into the canvas and split the legs like so. So they hit, and they hit hard. And yeah, oops, that was a botched moment on the table, but those tables, they're not done right. That's what happens. Well, then came the big turn, following the storyline from when Jester busted up Alton and drew blood and kicked him out a year ago. Well, let's just say this: Jester turned around and got what was coming to him. Alton grabbed the monitor, the little TV monitor, hit him across the face, split him open, and Jester's bleeding like a stuck pig everywhere. Then they get to battling on the side. They're working around the casket. And then after that, eventually, with the injured hand from being slammed in the casket, Alton Black choke slams Jester into the casket and slams it shut on him. Gets the win. Well, what I didn't expect is everybody just started walking out. They're like, oh, it's over, bye. I'm trying to beat traffic. They didn't stick around. Alton announced his retirement tonight. Alton Black has been there many, 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 many years. I'm thinking the better part of maybe 10. No, maybe a little bit less, because they started in 2017 or 2018, and I think he came around right around 19 or 20. He was there a long time. Jester's been there the longest, but anywho, so Alton finally pulled a little Undertaker movement, a little bit of homage to Taker. Took his mask, took his gloves off, set him in the ring, and that was it. I did get to give him a hug after the match, tell him that Daniel would be proud, and told him thank you for all of the great service and entertainment that he has done for Rampage for all these years after the show. And so it was very humbling getting to hug his neck after the match. But the match overall, man, I'm gonna have to give it. I'm gonna have to get a good 4, almost 4.5. The 4.5 that would have been there if it weren't for the table botch. The first 2 tables at the beginning, that was a great way to start. It made it really hard with all the camera guys and all the refs that were in there. So yeah, you could watch it on the screens because they had, I think, 4 screens showing the match, and the coffin was on the entranceway. So people on that side had to watch it above and on the screens. I was on that side of the ring anyway, so I got as much footage as I could. But overall, I would give it a 4.5 if it weren't for the table, number one, destroying the canvas and stabbing the canvas and ripping it up, but the table bump didn't go too well. Those guys have had history for years and years, and they did well. They told a good story, and it came to a good end. It's sad to see Alton retire, but quite frankly, hey, can't do this kind of thing forever. Eventually, your body gives out, and it's time to hang up the boots. So, but again, thanks Alton for all the great years. You were a heel, and then you ended your last year as a babyface. So, good job to you. You went out on top. I don't expect to see Jester any longer because the winner of the match got to decide the fate of Chaos Inc. Well, with Phil winning, or not Phil, with Alton Black winning, he disbanded Chaos Inc. forever. So yeah, not a thing anymore. So we probably won't be seeing much of them for a while. Moving on from there, I would have loved to given it a 4.5 for Alton's, last match. It's just, man, that table bump was rough, man, and these things happen. So, a couple other things, side notes on some things that happened that confused me a little bit and angered me quite a bit. And that was the match with, I believe, yeah, it was the match with Phil and Morgan Mercy. Now, anybody that knows anything about wrestling knows that the referee is there to make the rules. The referee is there to enforce the rules. The referee is supposed to be somebody that enforces those rules and has authority. Well, I don't know if this is a new guy working with Rampage training. However, it honestly looked like this guy did not know what he was doing whatsoever. He was breaking kayfabe. He was smiling and laughing and not being authoritative whatsoever. So it looked like a Dominic Mysterio person, but very, very flamboyant, very, very limp wristy. And there are women referees, and they do a great job, but they enforce it. They enforce the rules. And this guy was just dainty and was laughing and not. So that's another reason why I give that match the rating I did, is because the ref is just as much a part of the match as the wrestlers and what they're doing. So if you have a ref that's in there that doesn't know what they're doing, does a poor performance, breaks kayfabe, and does not look authoritative whatsoever, you're gonna get a crappy match just because of it. Missing counts, not calling certain things, it just, I get it. You're trying, dude. I understand, but you gotta work on it. You got a lot of work to do. I don't know if this was your first match working as a ref, but it was not good. Like, quite frankly, that match could have been a lot better if it weren't for Phil Knorr and if it weren't for you, the referee. So, not to be that much of an asshole, but quite frankly, it is my bullshit opinion, and my opinion is you're terrible. Phil, you're a little better, but maybe you should try and work as a ref. Because that just was not acceptable. So, overall, Rampage Classic 8. A lot of good storylines. The attendance was really there. I was so hot outside, I was chugging bottles of water like crazy. So, enjoyed it. Got to see some guys, got to spend time with them, got to say hi, got to give them hugs, and got to talk to Carl, Wingman Carl. Now, Wingman Carl and I have a little something, because last year at the Nightmare on 19th, Wingman Carl decided to, me, being a fan, retired backyard wrestler, but a fan, decided to take a swing at me last year. And he did. He caught me with his fishing rod right across the face and then continued to pound me and stomp me while I was down. And you know what? The tides will turn, and I do know a certain somebody might be at the event next weekend. So, moving on from there, overall, the entire event, man, I'm going to have to say I give it a good 4.5. Match of the night definitely has to go to the Duos Championship. That match was just phenomenal. Second up, man, I'm going to have to go ahead and say the most pops that came was from Mac the Franchise in his match, opening the curtain. And then after that, I'm going to have to give it to Jester and Alton for that last match. So those are going to be my tops right there. Eric, great job. Way to do it. Hopefully it doesn't cost you too much to pay for another mat for the ring, because, yeah. But anyways, Vader Saber 1984, also known as that drunk guy and his bullshit opinion. And hey, you know what? If you disagree, if you don't like it, tough. This is just my bag of tea. This is my show. So, other than that, guys, thanks for watching. Like, share, comment. If you were there, you know, put out some pictures. I'll be putting them on Facebook. You can find that at that drunk guy and his bullshit BS opinion on Facebook. Other than that, want to give a special shout out to my big brother Kevin, KO, for donating the lighting and this wonderful new podcast laptop. So all props go to him, and that's our sponsor today for Kincaid. Only he would get that. So all right, guys, thank y'all so much. Till next time, peace.